Hello and welcome. Last night was the first night of action. Ladies and gentlemen, we kicked off the swimming program here at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. It was a night to remember. We're going to be recapping it now for you. This is about last night.
Take your marks.
Listen to the crowd. This is a remarkable performance.
A world record, David. Have you ever seen anything like it?
He can't believe it, but it just happened.
Well, I tell you what, the swimming action started last night and it was a night to remember. My name is John Mason. It is a pleasure to be here hosting About Last Night for you after the first night of racing at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. Joining me once again is the amazing Bailey Jackson and the iconic Pernile Bloom and Anthony Irvin. Pleasure to have you guys. What a way to start the show.
Yes, it was indeed incredible. The vibe was amazing. It was like the real Olympic spirit.
It's definitely started.
Definitely. We had some of our biggest stars already taking to the field of play, duking it out individually and in those relays.
So we have a new Olympic champion, Lukas Martens from Germany, but if we take a look at your screens, you're going to see those results. It was an absolutely epic way to start the show, the first gold medal that was given out. Lukas Martens for Germany, Elijah Winnington for Australia, and Kim Woo Min. Guys, what a race.
It was really an incredible race. I had Lukas Martens as my favorite all the way, but really, Kim Woo Min gave him a run for his money.
Yeah, from lane one.
Yes, he just took it out. I kind of was feeling a bit sad for him that he ended up in third place, and at some point I thought, oh my God, he's not gonna actually be on the medal table. So he got a medal, which was kind of like this, because he really took it out. He was brave. He came from the outside lane, which is already difficult because it means you don't feel like you're part of the race. So he was on his own agenda there. And it takes some courage to do that.
It does, and I think the thing is he couldn't really see where Lukas was, right? Like Lukas went out hard, and Lukas has really impressed me over the last few years. We had silver in Budapest, bronze in Fukuoka, bronze in Doha, and then he really sort of progressed so quickly this year and peaked when he needed to. And you know, his time, 3:41.78, a great time, and he was over the moon with it.
I'm curious to know, when it comes to that final stretch, how do you preserve that energy in that moment?
That's a good question. I mean, from what I saw watching Lukas, I saw a guy in the pole position in lane 4. He was assertive. Like, I thought he was controlling that race. Everybody else in that field knew what Kim was going to do, right? That was not going to be a surprise for any of them. So if they did see him way out in front, they knew what was going to happen next, right? But Lukas, if you did see him, he knew he was way out there, that he can bring him in. And if anything, he had his eyes on Elijah 2 lanes over. Someone else who's been very consistent this last quad, and just keeping ahead of him just a little bit to make sure he gets his hand on the wall first for that Olympic gold medal.
I think it's a lot to do with willpower. That's when like everything hurts. You just have to put it aside and then just focus on how much do you really want this. And then just push through those like walls of pain.
What's going through your head in that moment?
Push.
Head down and go.
Head down, girl. Don't think too much. Just
Windmill those arms.
yeah, exactly. Just the faster you go, the sooner it will be over, right?
I was gonna ask you, because we were talking about this a bit earlier, this concept of lane 4 management, right? Like knowing you're in the pole position and what that does to you psychologically and what it does to the field.
Yeah, because you've never been in lane 4 in any of your running races, right?
Have you not?
Yeah.
No, perennial dark horse.
Yeah. I think it gives you a boost, like going into the final, but then actually being in the final is quite like a big thing to manage, because you feel like now you have to own it. You're supposedly supposed to win, allegedly supposed to win, but you still have to do the race, and lots of things can happen, like Kim Woo Min coming from the outside lane.
You guys are both sprinters, so you know it's a completely different approach when you're coming into a race like this, right? There's different strategies with how you're going to approach it, the 4, the 8, the 15. It's a different kettle of fish, you know. Did you guys ever swim them?
The 400 freestyle? No, I did not.
Not racing, but just giving it a crack.
No, but to your point, I'd say even though we're sprinters, you still want to finish strong. You still want to finish the fastest, right? Like, you don't need to necessarily be there in the very beginning, but you absolutely want to be there at the very end. So whether that's the 50 meter or the 400 meter. So like, what does it take? Well, I think, yeah, it's a bit of pain management. Like, you know it comes, you expect the pain, and you go into it and through it.
Well, that was the men's 400. It was a great way to start the night. And then, of course, we moved into a big race. There was big expectations with this one, of course. The women's 400-meter freestyle. It did not let us down. It did not disappoint. Take a look at your screens. These are results. We had Ariarne Titmus take that gold medal for Australia. Summer McIntosh, the silver for Canada. And, of course, Katie Ledecky getting that bronze medal in third. I mean, there were big expectations on this race, and it completely lived up to it, in my opinion.
Yes,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Yes.
We agree on
Yes.
that one.
Yes.
It was actually even more exciting because Ariarne Titmus actually kind of got overtaken in the heats by Katie Ledecky. She was really going for it the first 300 meters, and then it kind of looked like she was a bit in pain in the heats, and then Ledecky actually won that race. But then Titmus just went for it. She completely committed to her plan and just executed it to like perfection. And it was such a nice thing to see that she actually just stayed in her own lane, trusted her process, her preparations, and just went for it.
And this was another great moment for her as well. As we saw her win in Tokyo, but with no crowd. This time she has an audience that's there rooting her on and cheering, supporting her. So personally, I thought that was amazing for her. I'm sure that moment was absolutely thrilling.
I agree.
I agree.
She really did deserve that.
Yeah, phenomenal race. I saw her coach, Dean Boxall, after the prelims, and he did not look thrilled either. And so whatever took place, whatever talk they had, however they dissected that race and planned for the final, it worked. And it goes to show that it's not over till it's over. Changes can be made at the Olympic Games itself to really improve upon what you want to do and what you want to get done.
Yeah.
And who we haven't mentioned in this race was Summer McIntosh, who for me was super impressive. Like, she pushed Ariarne the whole way through that race. I know Katie had that different strategy of sort of hanging back and trying to sort of power through to the end, but Summer was there with her the whole way.
Actually, Summer was kind of leading the race, I would say, until like halfway or so.
Yeah.
And she was just there pushing and pushing and pushing. But then Ariarne just got that extra bit of power at the end, and she really showed that and got that out of herself.
Yeah, it was fantastic to see. And, another honourable mention in that, of course, is Erica Fairweather. She was world champion in Doha. She put in a great performance here, but she sits a little more comfortable in the 800 and the 1500. So we're going to be seeing her sort of lead into her program over the week, but a great start for her too.
A great swim. And really, at the end, she was reeling in Katie Ledecky and almost got her hand on the wall for that bronze. But she's a new name for us on this elite level. I think this is only, if not the beginning, near the beginning of an incredible career. And I do believe we have an 800 freestyle coming up from her later in the night. I'd want to keep my eyes on her.
But a fantastic way to finish off that race, of course. First individual Olympic champions. It was a great start to the night. We then, of course, move into the team program, the relays, the 4x100 meter freestyle relays. We started with the women. It was an Olympic record. Australia took that world record last year in Fukuoka and another Olympic record tonight. What a performance, guys. It was fantastic.
It was. Hey, on paper, Australia clearly looked like the better team, but I'm very proud of that American squad.
Yeah.
They showed up, they threw down some incredible times, and they showed that they weren't going to be cowed. They weren't going to be bullied into just accepting this. They really pushed Australia to make sure they wanted it.
I think also one to mention is China.
Absolutely.
I know you actually had your eye on one specific person.
Yeah,
in
it
that team.
was. It was Zhang Yufei. So Zhang Yufei, we know her essentially as a butterfly, but her third leg in that, she made up so much ground, and it was such an impressive swim for me. They were so far behind, and it put them in a great position to sort of get their hand to that wall and get that medal. And it was just interesting to see. You don't. The strategies of where you put your swimmers in, I suppose, in a relay. And she just really brought it home for Team China in that. It was a performance for the ages, I thought.
And that's what I'm curious to know. You talk about the different legs, the strategy behind where you put your swimmers. Where would you say you put your strongest swimmer? Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4?
It's a good question. I think typically you'd want to put a fast swimmer, a confident swimmer with a great start up front. And then your most seasoned veteran who can
It's
bring
like
it home,
the
the anchor.
Burger
We call it an
method.
anchor,
Yeah.
right?
It's the burger method.
The burger method?
Yeah. Bun, salad and meat, and then finish off it.
I thought it would be like, it's more like meat, and in the middle you got some
Maybe
cheese.
get it a double patty.
I'm stealing that analogy from now on, Pernile. That's fantastic. The burger method. You know, it was a fantastic swim for all of them as well. And, you know, to get an Olympic record, I think a great start for all of those teams. We then, of course, moved into the men's 100-meter freestyle. What a way to finish the night. Anthony, Team USA, what can we say? They smashed it.
They did. Again, on paper, we looked incredible, but the world is ready. And they showed it. We had the 4 guys from Jack to the new guy, Giuliano. Great swim. Hunter Armstrong, he's a backstroker, but he's out there laying down some of the best splits amongst the field. Watch his 100 back later in this meet, this Olympic Games. This is going to be something special. And then, of course, Caleb Dressel. Come on. He was the star of the Tokyo Games. He's had some challenges between then and now, but way to show up. And even though he had a big lead, the team gave him a big lead, Kyle Chalmers was wanting to run him down, that freight train. That's his thing. But Caleb said, not this time.
No, you absolutely cannot forget about Caleb. I mean, he's a star in his own right. And that moment at the end with his family, too, that was beautiful to watch. I know that must be heartwarming for him, going to his wife and to his child and, you know, celebrate that huge win. Insane.
But talk about Pan. Wow.
He got the Olympic record, 46.92 in his lead-off leg for Team China. Incredible performer. That's where he got his world record in Doha.
I've been calling this for a while. I believe the men's 100 freestyle is going to be the most fiercely contested out of all the races because there's so many people that could potentially get their hand on the wall first.
Also, can we just mention Italy?
Yes.
Italy.
They had
Wow.
some great performances.
Yes, exactly. And they were just right there on the wave, just getting that perfect wave just to surf.
You were right behind me. Pernile was right behind me watching, and she sort of said, "Oh my God, look at the wave! He's got it! He's got it! It's going to be amazing!" Just cheering them on. But I think, you know, not just in this race, Team Italy are certainly going to be a team that we need to be keeping our eyes on because they performed so well across all of the races tonight. You know, it's definitely going to be an interesting games. Well, that concludes all of the gold medal winning races that we had tonight. But if you take a look at your screens, we've got 8 more days of action. We're kicking it off with the men's 400-meter individual medley final. We then have the women's 100-meter butterfly final. Those semi-finals were swam last night. The men's 200-meter freestyle semi, the women's 100-meter breaststroke semi, the men's 100-meter backstroke semi. We have the men's 100-meter breaststroke final, a massive race there, and of course, finishing it off with the women's 200-meter freestyle semis. So, guys, let's talk about, we had those semi-finals for the women's 100 butterfly and the men's 100 breast last night. They're going to be amazing races as well. Gretchen Walsh, Olympic record in the semi. She's looking so good.
She looks almost unbeatable. She looks like she's got that medal already, but then everything can happen in a final. And sometimes going so fast in the semi can also be really daunting to go into in the final. Because you kind of think, like, you get the boost, but then you start to think, can I do it again? What if I'm not going to swim as fast? And then all these kind of doubts, they creep in.
Well, let's hope she can do it. I'm sure she can. Listen,
I have no doubt.
She's American, and the Americans, they always pull through.
She got the world record at trials,
Yeah,
Olympic record here.
in prelims, and continue to just swim up to that standard 3 times.
Well, she is an incredible athlete, and I do believe in her.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch that one. And then, of course, the man himself is back, Adam Peaty, going in the fastest seed into tomorrow's 100-meter breaststroke. He's going for that 3-peat. He was looking good out there this evening. He really is. And comfortable, you know.
He took control right away. He just takes the lead going into that first turn. And coming back, he wasn't tying up. He wasn't getting too tired. I thought he was looking pretty strong from first meter to the 100.
Absolutely spectacular. So those races and, of course, more coming up. We also have some other big names that are going to be jumping into the pool.
We had a chance to catch up with David Popovici at the European Championship, so let's see what he had to say.
Well, I just swam as good as I could, and the time wasn't planned, but again, the time is never planned, only the strategy. If you have a good strategy and you have it well planned, then you have more chances at success, I guess. It's good being more of an underdog than before. Even though I'm still one of the favorites in the world, I'm not the first one, I'm not the fastest one yet, so that really motivates me.
Thank you for catching up with us for another episode of About Last Night. Stay tuned for the finals tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow.